I'm going to start the room off. There's quite a few of you who have offered to speak today, and I'm really excited to hear from you. So let's start off by visualizing that we are all in a safe, protected space, that our spirit, soul, body, and outer realm being is divinely protected and guided and cleared and cleansed from any attachments or energies that are no longer serving us or not in our highest good. We ask that this space be orbed and protected as well, so that only those who are meant to listen or join will. We ask that we will all be a divine channel of love and wisdom, so that everyone who listens to these experiences will feel encouraged and empowered. So that said, Steph, did you want to share or do you want to wait a bit?
I can share. I can start. Should I just start now?
Sure.
Okay. So, yeah, you're talking about near-death experiences, and I'm actually having a quite emotional morning because I'm unraveling so much. So it's just kind of all divinely on time. But
Well, I want to say to that, please let yourself feel whatever you're feeling, because I think there's something divinely beautiful and powerful about the rawness of emotions. And I think people need to see and feel that in motion live when it happens. I'm not saying you have to, but I think it's something profound. And this experience that you're about to share, and this topic in general, is incredibly deep and soul altering at so many levels. So please allow yourself to just be in the moment.
thank you. I really appreciate that. I actually just recorded a video, which I rarely do, that was just kind of this unraveling I'm doing of my sacral chakra and the stories. And it really does. There's so much with my near-death experience. It's just, it's something I can't escape. I'll get into it. So in 2012, I was in a car accident that was, I mean, it really should have been fatal. I was in a Jeep. I had no seatbelt on. I was thrown out of the Jeep. All I remember was it was literally rolling in the dirt, basically. So I didn't feel any pain, and I was pinned under the Jeep. However, this night, I feel I was really unaware of just kind of insight I was getting. We had gone out to 6th Street in Austin, Texas, which is, you know, a lot of people know about it. It's just like a strip of bars, basically. And I was with my boyfriend, my sister, and my roommate. And I was in the Jeep and I was just crying. And I remember being like, just let me out on the side of the road, please. I just felt like this, just, it's like a blackout of urgency. Well, I wasn't let out, obviously. And the Jeep, which was going, I mean, 70 to 80 miles per hour, hit the median, and the Jeep flipped over and I flew out, and I was pinned under the Jeep, essentially. And so it was very much in the beginning, it was like, we don't know if she's going to make it. And then it was a rush me to, like I said, I was pretty knocked out. Like, I just felt I was beat up by Mother Earth, pretty much. And so I was taken to a trauma hospital, which is when the higher consciousness tapped in. And I remember being at the top of the operating room, and I just was I was just having a judgment day, and I knew it. And I was like, please let me go back. Like, I promise I'll do everything different. I yeah, so I was watching them work on me, meanwhile knowing I'm making this deal to do everything different because my near-death experience is pretty, it's very physically represented by, like, I also lost my leg in it. Um, so it was this old life of being a really narcissistic, wounded young woman that was just, yeah, like, I wasn't proud of who I was. And I knew at that judgment I had to completely go back and do everything different. And it inspired the greatest catalyst of awakening. It was incredible because I was in a wheelchair, I had no leg, and I instantly knew I have to start meditating. And it's just pretty crazy. If you knew who I was at 22, the day of the accident and before, like that wasn't her. And so I knew I had to start meditating. I mean, I literally had my physicality stripped away from me. And I had this like knowing of crystals and astrology, and that's why I make crystal jewelry. That was like part of my healing process, was I was making it for myself, wearing it, and other people were wanting it. One woman on my campus was like, oh my god, she gave me like $200, basically started my business. But it was just very wild as far as the duality, right? And then I remember in times in my journey being like, well, am I a walk-in now? Because like that couldn't have been me. Like I was so awful. And it's been a lot of integrating of shame of who I was. And the thing is that though my heart awoke, it then gave me, I've had these like really dysfunctional relationships, and it went from being like narcissistic to like codependent as far as relationships, but having like this like big heart for the world and an empathy that just kind of was unmatched in a way. I was like 22, and I was in like hospitals with like old people, you know what I mean? Like I was like rehabilitated. Like it was just such a it was such an experience. Um, but yeah, it was wild because it awoke me to everything that people are into now. So this was like 2012, I'm 22. I don't have any resources. I was like this like hippie girl in campus, like that's like she's doing our birth charts in her crystals. And I was in business school, yet my business was making crystals. And yeah, it's just been a pretty wild ride. It's something that, just like I said right before this, I was unraveling so much of these stories. And um but yeah, the near death experience it's a definitely a catalyst. And it was pretty wild to have my judgment day at 22 and just know, oh my god, you have to do it all over. And just really loving and accepting myself for who I was then, and seeing the lessons. And yeah, so I don't know if I share too much or talk too long.
No, thank you for sharing. I do have some questions. When you were in that sort of in between place, like through the veil there, did you feel like you were in the presence of like creator or angels or loved ones? Can you tell me about that place where you were saying like, I'm not done, I want to go back?
So it felt like a really claircognizant type experience where it was just like, it was everything. Like it was source energy. It was everything. And it was tapped into the oneness. I could feel the hurt I had caused of people, and I could feel the ways I wanted to do it right. But I did have the out of body experience of literally watching everybody and knowing like it's like you can go too. Like you can go. You're only going to be able to stay here though if you have a radical life change. So it was it feels like ultimate source energy. It felt like choice. But like I said, it felt just like very clear knowing, and just getting to watch and have the decision, like, you're either going back down here or you're coming back up, because you've already been so self-destructive. Like, this is what's manifested. Like, because I was so reckless, like crazy party girl, like, you know, I can't believe I honestly I had been through a lot of little wake up calls before that were signs of an accident would happen to me, and I wasn't listening and I wasn't changing. So, yeah, it was just like a very clear knowing, but I felt the oneness because I could feel what I had to do, and it caused massive heart openings.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is. This is interesting because you brought up the narcissism and stuff, and it seems like during your little life review moment there where you realized and you could feel the pain that you had caused others. To me, that feels like you had like a spiritual and soul clearing where you release the attachments or entities that create the narcissistic traits. So it's almost like you had, when I say exorcism, I don't mean it in like a judgmental or crazy way, but like a soul spirit clearing experience. And then you did come back as a new person. Now, whether it's a walk in or just your authentic self without those attachments, I'm curious what you think about that. And also, if the relationships that you were grieved about, did those get better? Do you want to speak into any of those points?
Yeah, so wait, can you kind of clarify what you mean by relationships though?
Okay, so the people that you were thinking, oh, I've really hurt this or that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the person who was driving the car was my boyfriend, and I already knew. I'm like, "Oh my god, like, I'm pretty sure I got drunk and made out with other people while with like, just like bullshit like that when you're young, and I was like, I felt this indebtedness to him, which is why I say it was like the narcissism was stripped, and I kind of went to the other side of the spectrum of like codependency. So I still right now currently am in this journey of like, you know, self-love and accepting myself. And that's why I'm like, I really don't think it's a walk-in, because I think I would have cleared a lot more. I would have cleared a lot more, instead of being on the other end of the spectrum where I'm still in this. It was like my heart opened for all. I got really into volunteer work and nonprofit work, and I got really, I'm like, my hands on my heart. And like, my heart was like, oh my God, like I have to do this for the world. Like, I just wanted to be this change. But there was still so much inner child work to do, which right now I'm at this really bare level with myself, which I love the timing of talking about this, honestly, because it's just right on time. And so my relationships, that relationship after that one, I actually ended up marrying the guy that was my first kiss when I was 13. And he was a psychotic narcissist. And I don't say those words lightly. I had to like flee. I had to have the cops. There was restraining order. One of those things where it's just, you can't, you can't do anything about where that person is. But it's funny because he was my first kiss when I was 13. So it seems like this like karmic clearing on my end. In my last relationship has just been, I feel like a wrap up of an even deeper, and I'm like, it's wild the blessings I have of friendship and family support, but this clearing of this romantic stuff, which even my near death experience, like the guy I was dating was driving the Jeep, and um yeah, I'm just wanting to release and love myself to where the next time I'm in a relationship, it's like, this is the bare me, and I can actually align with love instead of aligning with these lessons. But it's just yeah, I can just see how all of it is like parts and steps, and it's like this like collage of like all these things my soul wanted to clear and experience. And yeah, I hope that answers the questions about the relationships.
Absolutely. And I find it also beautiful that on a spectrum of like a pendulum swinging, if you were over on the left with the more loving or getting your needs met at the cost of others. um, then the pendulum swung to the other side where you said you struggled with the codependency, where I really don't like that word, but it's just basically where um you give at the cost of yourself because you're learning how to love yourself. It's the other kind of the other end of learning the balance of love and interconnected giving and receiving and balance. And it's beautiful that these relationships you uh, got in after that sort of have helped you integrate and process through the new you. It's like you're getting to know your authentic, mature, wise self, your true self.
Yeah, that's 1,000,000% what it is. It just feels like a stripping down. And I mean, my accident was pretty much the like, are you gonna stay and clear this? Or are you gonna, just come back? And I think I was just really up for the challenge of like, okay, I mean, honestly, even being an amputee in this world with like the way the medical system is, I just had to wait like 3 months to get a proper functioning knee. And it's a really humbling experience. It gives me a perspective that like really allows me to have this when you're physically limited, you have no choice but to be with yourself. um, but that makes you get kind of just like connected to more of the world anyways, because there's so many people in so many different situations that at 22 before my accident I had no idea anybody struggled with a thing because that just wasn't even on my radar. So yeah, it's just a pretty interesting experience that, like I said, I wear the physical, you know, battle wounds, if we want to call it, or whatever. I wear it and I live it daily. It's not something that I can even kind of forget. You know what I mean? Besides the awakening, it just is what it is in that sense.
Steph, thanks for sharing. That's an incredible story. Really appreciate you coming on and telling us all that. Um, I I'm wondering that experience you had of being connected to source and feeling that energy. What was that like for you? And is it something that you can go back to? Like, can you feel that again? Can you experience that type of energy or emotion again?
Honestly, yes, because that's why my name is even like Steph Feels, and like Cosmic Feels is my business. I before my accident, I really had no idea what a sensitive person I was. I was completely numb. I was like, let's get drunk and whatever, party, experimenting with drugs. I mean, it's all the symptoms of depressed young adult teen, escapism. And I just keep getting more sensitive. Like my hand on my heart right now, like my ability to tap into the feeling for all. Yeah, I can go there so easy. Like my sensitivity just grows, honestly. And some days it feels like a curse, but like at this point in my life, like I love it and I just want to own it. And that's why now I know that I'm at that bare level with myself that I will only be able to align with like all of you. These are obviously all like amazing, loving, open hearted souls. The opportunity in my life, like I lead circles. Like I met this woman named Destiny here, and she was like, wow, you're a teacher. Like when she walked up to me at my little crystal booth and she was like, can you, I want to start this wellness retreat revival stuff. Can you, so I'm like, I feel I'm open, I'm attuned, the heart's wide open. It's more so it's a self-love thing more so, but I can tap into like the love for all. I can't be hard on a single soul. I really can't. I feel too much. Being hard on them is like being hard on me, and it's not right to do. And like that's what it was. It was a mass heart opening, and I could feel the pain, and I just knew I didn't want that. I knew that I didn't want that blood on my hands, if you want to call it that. But um, yeah, so right now I'm just like in the process of like pouring it back into myself, which I think I'm doing pretty well at, because my life is reflecting it, despite how some external things may not look like it, but that's fine.
So I was wondering if I could say something. I'm actually pretty new here. Well, actually not really new here. I've been on Twitter since August. Back in 2021, I actually hopped timelines. Because I was told by my ascended master mother that I was going to perish if I didn't hop onto a new timeline. And before that, I started my spiritual awakening and healing, and so I did. But I've also actually had a near-death experience as well. I was on my way to work, and I was on my bike, and I wasn't thinking anything of it, and this was back in 2016. Actually, I think it was 2017, because it was before I was going to go to Germany to meet this girl I was dating since October 2016, and when I started to shift. Now, mind you, I never was religious. I've never been this spiritually strong, and so far I've gotten so strong in my spiritual senses and my awarenesses, and um, I just want to say, after all the stuff that I've been through, and all the stuff that I have felt from the collective as a whole and the virtual realm all across the spectrums, I have to say, and I want to say, from my heart and my connection to Gaia herself, I just have to say that I am very proud and honored to be amongst and be on this timeline with all you ascended masters, because I have met so many beautiful high priestess shamans over the past few weeks. I've been dealing with a lot of purging out of knowing my boundaries with certain souls and people, and learning about more and more about my own family heritage, and it's been empowering for me. My near-death experience was I got hit by a car because I was crossing a street that was really busy in the morning, and I was on my bike, and I went forward, and this car accelerated and hit me. Now, I don't remember much what happened, but I definitely was like, I was confused because I woke up on the ground and my bike was all screwed up. It's funny because like I got up and it was just like I didn't feel like there was any internal problems. I felt completely fine. The only thing that was racing through my mind was this adrenaline rush, and I was just like, okay, so I'm fine. I just kept going. I just went straight to work, and I worked all day. It's like nothing happened. So then after I had a healing session with my mom, I asked her, I says, what happened with me in that on that day? Could I have gone hurt worse? And she's like, yes. Was I healed by my art, my angel, my ascended master angel guide group? And they're like, yes, you were, but you could have gone hurt a lot, more. And ever since then, ever since I've changed, I kind of gave myself the name Ajurel because it was during when I was working at my old toxic job. I felt it was important to give myself something new, something that wasn't derivative of any other name in the universe or that mankind has ever created. And so that's why my name is the way it is. So, but I wanted to give this message to all of you because I just have to say it is beautiful to see all you guys ascending, and it's beautiful for you guys to be stepping into your power. And you know, we're going through since 2012. It's funny because everyone's been having such crazy experiences. My grandparents passed away in 2013 after 2012, and 2012 was the mark for the decision if humanity was going to blow itself up again or if we were going to go through a dark night. And we have. We have for the past 10 years gone through a cleansing, and we're still going through it. A matter of fact, this is 2020 was the marker for determining what we're going to do, the catalyst, the transition. We all became disconnected, but we all became more connected with our true, authentic self because for the past 10 years from 2013 even and before that, we were so disconnected from ourselves. We were not living authentic lives. We were not speaking our authentic truth, and now we are. Now we're stepping into that. And I'm here to tell you that continue to do that. Continue to grow. Continue to rise. Continue to do everything because I'm telling you, it's worth it. I'm telling you, I'm being completely honest. last night I connected with Gaia again, and I became like a quantum tree. I could feel it. It actually snowed the day before, and it was cold. It was like 33 degrees last night. I was talking to one of my high priestess friends, and she said, "Yeah, go out." And I was telepathically talking to Gaia, and she's like, "Connect with me, talk with me," and I did. And it's just like I can't tell you how amazing it's been to watch all of you grow. I mean, it's like I'm only like 24, but I'm like an old soul, and so I'm like I know I have this age on me, and I have this maturity on me, but I'm not, I'm extremely humble towards every one of you souls, and you guys really do matter. And I can't tell you how amazing. I've smiled, I've laughed. I'm kind of reclusive, but it's all just, I'm working through a lot of stuff. I'm doing still a lot of shadow work, and um I've had a lot of breakthroughs. A matter of fact, I've been broke for a very long time, but it's only because when I wasn't broke, I wasn't really, honoring um, my financial self, and I am now, but I'm also honoring how to live and be simply, and not so caught up in everyone else's universes, and to learn how to self love. And I've really started to accept that transition. I apologize for like for like all this massive dump, but I feel like because I just actually woke up, I'd say 30 minutes ago, and I started listening, and so it's just like I knew this was necessary to happen. I knew this was necessary to hear you guys talk about your beautiful experiences with transitioning. And you know what? We actually live twice. The first time is when we're born, and the second time is either we choose to hop timelines, remain on Earth, and or just decide to leave because it might be too much for us, because there's just too much insanity in our lives. But I'm here to say that it is an honor to honor all of you beautiful high priestesses and priests and divine masculine and feminine souls, and I honor you from one ascended master to the rest of you that will, get to that point in your own space and time. So I just wanted you guys to know that every soul that is listening now, you guys are 100% honored. It doesn't matter what country you come from. It doesn't matter what tongue you speak. um, it doesn't matter because we're all connected. We're all human beings, and we could get so caught up in being afraid of to speak our mind or to be authentic. Don't be, because there's one thing I've learned in this year is that there is not enough darkness on this planet anymore that is strong enough to oppose our light. Our light is insanely limitless. Our souls are eternal forever. Our physical forms are temporary, but our hearts beat as one. We are one collective ascending, and I am honored to be sharing my own healing and ascension with the rest of you lot. You guys are amazing, and I'm very proud of all of you. And yeah.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Thank you, Phoenix, Asherelle. Um, I'm really thankful that you woke up and felt called to come on this space. You're an incredible presence of encouragement and love. And it's so beautiful that you had this whole Phoenix experience with your near death situation. And it's interesting because, like, even people who don't have a near death experience on the third dimension can have the Phoenix experience where they die, in a sense, like they have the Phoenix experience without going through it on the third dimension, and it's life changing every time, no matter how we go through it. But I love just hearing all the encouragement and kindness and light coming out of your soul. That's what we're here for. um Chosen one, you've been very patient. Did you want to share something?
Hi. Yes, I did. Um, I had basically experienced, I would say, what is a walk-in to you guys? Can
That's
someone
a good
explain it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that the way I've heard it described, especially by people who say they feel like this is what happened to them, is they say that they feel like they died and then they went into this, you know, place in the beyond where they were given the option to come back. And then when they came back, many people say things such as, I didn't feel myself anymore. I didn't feel connected to the people in my life. I felt like someone else. I had totally different interests, gifts, talents, like a sense of calling. And so they sort of feel like their entire spiritual and soul personality shifts, and they some of them say they struggle with feeling connected to the loved ones that they had before the experience. But some people who say that they feel they're a walk-in, um, they it's not quite as traumatic. So I think it's more of if you resonate with that or not.
Yeah, so I do big time actually. So back in 2016, I was going through an awakening. This was before I knew the terms of anything. So imagine like experiencing everything and not knowing what was going on. Um Basically one night I started to see angel numbers like back to back. Like I would turn my TV down and it would land on 22. My apartment number was 22. I was like, what is going on? Like, what is this about? And one night I remember being so overwhelmed with just like all of the signs I was seeing. I remember being so overwhelmed and trying to call my mom and let her know what was going on. And my phone started glitching. It's like nothing was working in my house. Like I had no form of communication to anyone. So I remember panicking because I didn't know what was going on. I remember panicking and walking down to the liquor store close. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I remember walking down to the liquor store that was closest to me and asking the store worker if I could use his phone. And prior, like in the midst of him like getting his phone, I started seeing 22 everywhere. Like it was literally on the walls, like it was just everywhere. And I was like, what the heck? And I just dropped and passed out. And I woke up in a hospital and I was like, what is going on? Like, what the heck? And I remember saying to myself, like, I remember praying, like, can someone please help me with like everything I'm seeing? Like, I don't know what's going on. And then literally, like, not even 5 minutes later, I swear, like, there were angels in the hospital with me. Like, they were guiding me, like, through the TV, through the music I was hearing on the station. I was like, what is happening? So I basically told the people in the hospital, like, I don't want to talk to anyone until my family gets down here, like, because this is weird. I don't know what's going on. And not even 10 minutes, my mom walked in the hospital. And I was like, what the heck is going on? It's like time was going by so fast. It was just so much happening. So I remember laying in the hospital bed and then looking down at my hands and I could see my veins like popping out. And that's when I was like, oh my God, like, am I dead? Am I dying? Like, what's happening? What's going on? I looked out to the window. The trees were like changing, like the seasons were like shifting fast. Like, I remember seeing all of this and looking around and see if anyone else was seeing it, and no one was. I was looking like a crazy person to everyone. But anyways, basically, yeah, I was being guided in that hospital, and the doctor had came out and told me, she came to me and my mom and she brought out a paper and she was like, I want you to know your daughter opened up a spiritual gateway. And my mom, she's not the type to believe in any of this, so she automatically was just looking like, yeah, okay, like this is weird, but okay, let's go, Ari. So anyways, around that time, that was before I even discovered my spiritual gifts. I didn't know what was happening, but I know that I had a spiritual team over me that was watching me and guiding me. So years passed. This is like 2019 now. I remember being in the shower and out of nowhere, I just fall. Like I fall, like I literally died. Like I was gone for a good minute. And if it wasn't for my boyfriend at the time I was dating, walking in and actually pouring water on me, I would have been gone. But in that moment,
Wait a
I
minute. How
remember,
did that happen? I'm sorry, but how
okay,
did
so
that happen?
I just stopped breathing. I was like standing in the shower and I just stopped breathing. I passed out.
Wait a minute. But didn't you pass out at the other place also?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So this was 3 years apart. This is 3 years
Whoa.
apart. Yeah.
Wait, 3 years apart. That's like synchronicity. And usually when you start to ascend and shift, you start like I see angel numbers all the time. And I laugh like this is just the universe giving me information. But if you pass that, okay, what my awareness is telling me, my intuition is saying that. Do you think that you have a solid link to your physical form, or do you think you can astral project? It's just
That's the thing. I think I can astral project. I've actually experienced a lot of things, but I'm not going to go on here and rant about it. But it's a
Oh no,
lot.
you
It's a
you
lot.
can share as much as you want, but this is
Okay.
makes me curious. Are you astral projecting how do I say this? Like you don't mean to, but you're doing it while you're awake?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you're not even waiting till you're asleep. Your spirit body's like, I'm out.
Yes. It's so, it's like my body tries to catch up to what's going on and I just drop.
Well, this is a whole new phenomenon. So have you done some energetic work to establish the connection between um like Phoenix was saying, establish a stronger connection between your spirit astral body and your physical body so that you only project when you're if you're awake, that you're consciously agreeing to it,
Mm-hmm.
or that you create some parameters to keep yourself safe.
Um, I just carry crystals with me now to ground myself.
Okay, have you programmed those crystals with your intention that you will only project when it's in the highest good?
No, but I'm definitely going to now.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that, and you can program your body too, because the water in your body and your crystalline organs, like your pineal and other aspects of your being, are crystals. So you can program your whole body and your crystals to align with your highest good for the
Mhm.
way that your spirit, soul, and body are going to show up. Because it sounds like you have some really unique gifts that I haven't heard about, in the sense that your spirit's trying to project places while your 3D's awake. So
Yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt your story, but that right there was
Oh no, you're
pretty
fine.
interesting.
You're fine. Now that you say that, I do remember when I was in the hospital, I was very sad and depressed because the sun wasn't out. And I remember saying to myself, because around this time, this is when I started meditating out in the sun like every morning before the sun would come up fully. And I remember being in the hospital and being like, where is the sun? Like, this is making me so depressed. I feel so down. And I remember walking out of my room and then walking back in and seeing crayons and a piece of paper on the bed. And I was like, is this a sign? Like, are y'all telling me to draw the sun right now? And I literally sat down, I drew it, nothing happened, but then something told me to color it in. And once I colored it in, the sun like literally appeared in the window. And I started crying. I was like, what is this? Like, I know I'm
Okay,
not
hold
going
up. I'm
insane.
sorry. I don't normally interrupt people like this, but I have to with you. So, this is super interesting. Because I've been exploring this whole manifestation thing, and like my daughter just a couple days ago, she said, "Do you want to sit down with me and look at these dresses?" And
Oh
she
my
said,
God. Oh
she was
my
like, "I
God.
want this specific dress. I want it to look like this." And she said,
And
"I'm
it
going to
appeared for
draw
her.
it and then manifest it." And I was
That's
like, "Whoa,
so
this yeah,
crazy.
this is interesting." So she drew a picture for me. This is I wanted to have this and this and this feature. Kid you not. Then she goes back on the shopping site and she was like, "Oh my God, look, the exact thing, the exact color." And so I think this is a thing that you talked
Yes,
about.
because around this time I also remember saying, because I had a black tourmaline with me, my aunt had gave it to me. And I was just like, I don't like this stone. Like, I don't like the color. This is before like I was really tapped in. I was just like, I don't like the color of this stone. I really want a white crystal. I walked out into my backyard and there were literally white crystals covering our backyard.
that's
And
so cool.
I remember asking my mom, I was like, where did these come from? And she was so shook. She was so scared. Like, she didn't want no parts. She like walked out the house like,
Okay, now I have to ask you, because you're manifesting into the third dimension pretty effortlessly. Um, have you set up spiritual
like
like
an
boundaries
altar.
to keep yourself safe?
Wait,
don't
say
know,
that
like
again. I'm
that.
sorry.
Have you set up energetic spiritual boundaries to keep yourself safe? I don't know.
So that was my
Yeah.
mistake. Like, this was before I even knew like I needed protection. It was so much, like, it's so much. It's so much. I've actually been attacked spiritually before, but now I know like the importance of making sure I'm protected just in general.
Yeah. So are you using your crystals for part of your protection?
Yes, I'm definitely am.
Okay, good job. So now I'm curious. So you said that you really resonated with the walk-in thing, and you told us two stories of where you
Yeah.
passed out, but it was sort of a
For the
death
second
experience,
story,
right?
yeah, the second story, I was gonna get into what happened. I don't know, maybe you guys can explain to me because I don't know the terms. But when I had passed out, I remember like for that minute just being around nothing but white light. Like I couldn't see anything, I couldn't move, like I was just stuck and I was just seeing a white light. And then I remember hearing two women voices. If there was no woman in the house with us, so there were two women voices and they just said, is she okay, is she okay? And then I woke up.
Okay, have you explored that yet? If those were maybe spirit guides, ancestors, angels?
I believe it was spirit guides.
Yeah, that resonates.
Yeah.
So what else causes you to feel that it could be a walk-in?
Because I wasn't, it literally didn't feel like I was on the physical plane anymore. I don't know how to explain it, but like everything was more vivid. I felt like everyone in the room with me was like angels, like angelic beings were moving through these people. And they were trying to get me to overstand my spiritual gifts and not be afraid. Because that was my biggest thing, fear. Like fear was in the way.
Did you feel like your personality changed at all with either of those two experiences?
Yes, definitely. Big time. The first time, definitely. I felt more loving. I felt like I completely like got to know my ego and transcended through it. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I definitely didn't feel like how I felt beforehand.
Wow, that was beautiful. Is there anything more you want to share with us about that?
No, I think that's it. I think I'm just gonna listen to you guys and see if I can pick up on anything else that I resonate with.
Okay, I might come back to you though because that's got my attention.
Okay.
Divine Star Child, did you want to share something?
I was going to say about passing out from what I've experienced in my own experience of passing out because
You're
feel like
breaking up.
passing out. Oh, hello?
Yes.
Okay.
We can hear you okay. Your connection is just not great. If you get a little closer to the Wi-Fi or something, that'd be good.
Okay, here. Somebody else talk and I'm just going to try to reconnect.
That sounds good now, though, whatever you did.
Okay. Anyway, passing out, I feel like it kind of, you shift timelines when you pass out because from my experience, it's like the world goes dark and then you kind of wake up in like a new version of reality. I don't know, that's what I've experienced. But I already shared my near-death experience last time, but sorry, that's my kid. I already shared it last time, but I can share it again because I've been meditating more on the experience and just gain more insight on it. But anyways, so this happened in August of 2021 and it was during the time of COVID. And also to mention, pretty much my whole life I've just struggled with like mental issues. I kind of, for me, it's more of we're all living in this skewed world, and so I don't really call them like mental issues now. I call it more like spiritual misalignment. But I'd been experiencing that for most of my life and had felt like it was difficult to live on Earth. And anyway, so August 2021, I had just left a narcissistic relationship, probably like maybe a few months prior to that. And just kind of like things started shifting as like I let go of that relationship and finally had chosen myself and not accepting abuse anymore. So all of a sudden it was like I was like a rubber band that had been let go, and I started like shooting off into my spiritual journey because I'd always been more spiritually like connected. I grew up religious, indoctrinated. I never resonated with your religion, but I resonated with the spiritual aspects of it. And in that relationship, I was kind of like gaslighted into like not trusting my own beliefs and my own intuition, all that comes with the narcissistic aspects. But anyway, so COVID's happening, so much like just fear attacks on everybody is going on, and quite honestly, I felt like it was just a really big like psychological attacks on like starseeds and light workers, because I knew about 5 other people who had the same thing happened to them. So I attempted suicide, trigger warning. It's but I know 5 other people that attempted the same thing at the same time. And so I had 5 months worth of antidepressants I hadn't taken. And one night I also had been like I was still living with my parents at the time, and they also are narcissists and were just making me like being abusive. So anyway, it was just one night and I just felt like it was just too much, and I took all the pills, and I remember a little bit time going by, maybe like an hour or so, and I regretted the decision. And so I went to the bathroom and I tried to throw them up, and they didn't come up. And I kind of just said, okay, like, I guess we'll just see what happens. And so I went to bed, and then I woke up on the couch as I've been re-accessing the memories, because it is it brings up a lot in my body. I actually just did a meditation last night on trying to recall the experience so I could share it more today. And my body just kind of like started feeling really tense and like fiery. And I just had to remind my body, like, you're safe. You're safe to recall this experience, and it's okay. So I fell asleep in my bed, and I woke up. I went to the couch somehow. I don't really remember going to the couch, but I was on the couch, and a being woke me up. And they said, hey, you need to decide if you want to stay on Earth or if you want to go. And it felt like a dream. It didn't feel real. I just turned to the inside of the couch and just like turned away and was like, this isn't happening. Feels weird. And then they woke me up again. I said, hey, this is happening. You need to decide if you want to stay on Earth or if you want to go. And I was just looking at the floor. I was looking at their feet. I wasn't looking up at them because... Sorry, my kid. Hi. Okay. But anyway, so I was looking at their feet, and I was just processing that this is happening, and I could feel my soul starting to like pull away it was like, I'm so sorry about my kid.
No, it's all right. You're doing great. I know it's hard to share in general when little kids are excited, but you're doing wonderful, especially with a sensitive topic like this. So
yeah, he's like, who are you talking to? Anyway, so I sat up, and of course I was like, I don't know why I did that. I had already regretted the decision after, and so they were giving me pretty much a chance to make it right and to really align with what I wanted. And so I said, yeah, I want to stay on Earth. I don't know why I did that. They said, it's okay. You need to go wake up your mom. They just gave me direct, like, instructions. You need to go wake up your mom. You go tell her to take you to the hospital. She is going to freak out. You need to calm her down. And you just need to guide yourself to the hospital. You need to go to the hospital. I said, okay. So I got up. I stood up, and it was hard to walk. Mainly because my soul was like starting to transcend, and I was still trying to control my body. So it was just kind of like, to me, it was kind of like a ticking clock. Like, okay, I gotta go. Bless you. So I'm walking up the stairs. You're welcome. I'm walking up the stairs, and I go in my mom's room. I wake her up, and she does freak out. She started to kind of like wager, do we go to the hospital or do we stay here? Because just concerning, like, with my son and everything. And I just was like, I need to go to the hospital. I mean, we could wait it out. I remember saying that to her, and my my guys were like, why did you say that? You can't wait it out. Yeah, I told her, a guy had woke me up and told me I needed to go to the hospital. And she is more of a fearful person. Just that's just how her she's programmed, really. But she was like, that's an evil spirit. And I told her, no, they're saving my life. Sorry to citizen and cosmic. You already heard the story mostly. But anyway, so
no, I'm glad you're sharing again, because this is a perfect time to do it.
Totally, thank you. But so she just, I told her that, no, it's one of my guys, they're saving my life. And when I told her that, she agreed, and I was like, okay. So we got in the car. She's driving to the hospital, and I rolled down the window to throw up. And that's one of the like last conscious memories I have. But we go to the hospital, and I tell the ER exactly what I took, exactly the amount. And as I was in meditation last night, I actually kind of started remembering some like little pictures of like what I experienced. I remember walking into the hospital. My feet were kind of like, I just remember looking at my feet, and they kind of just disappeared. But then this is actually new insight that I've gotten. So it was like a different array of colors that were kind of like dancing in like a portal. And it was like that for some time. And then I all of a sudden was in the fourth dimension realm with fairies. And
Oh, I love that. Fairies. Oh my god, I love fairies. I actually to add to that, just a side tidbit. The other, I think last year I went to my mom's house because she was going through a transition. And I actually healed her. And I was able to actually bestow upon her through the fairy high priestess realms, because I entered them, and I asked to have access to them, and they gave me access. And they basically, I gave my mom high priestess goddess fairy queen wings, because everyone has angel wings or different wings depending on what realm or what energy you're most attuned to. So for me, it's angels, but for my mom, it's angels and fairies. And so I gave her that. And she was like, "Wow, like no one's been able to do that." But I did it because I summoned in I spoke to the fairy queens and their sovereign of those realms, and I brought in that energy and I channeled it into her back, and it says, "You deserve to have this. Now you are the sovereign of this region of Utah. Now, you have command over the energy of Utah." And then I basically snapped my fingers, and I actually brought a new fairy realm energy into the 3D of this earth, because I can do that. I'm kind of like a gatekeeper slash key master person who holds certain keys. But I only wanted to add to that. I only wanted to interrupt because I was like, I love fairies. They're amazing. As a matter of fact, this year I also into my spirit guide group. I got a unicorn and elven guardian into my guide group, as well as like so many others. I've seen an owl too. So just keep speaking. I just wanted to add that. So yeah, anyway, love and light to you guys.
Thank you. That's amazing. I actually grew up in Utah, so that's cool. I never. Anyway, so to add to this, prior to this experience, I was going through a rough time. I was really misaligned. I'd just been like started drinking. I didn't really care much for anything, and I feel like I kind of let the shadow aspects of the abuse start to just like I said, misalign me, and I felt really like a nihilistic point of view of life, and I didn't really see a point, and I didn't know what existed or what. I just knew I didn't want to be on earth anymore. I just was like, I'm sick of whatever this BS is. And it's really sad because that that you can feel so like far from source and connection to that, to feel like you just want to leave this experience. Because anyway, so I was with the fairies, and they were really just giving me insights about earth, and they showed me that there are dark forces in control on earth, and that they kind of showed it to me in a way of taking me through these like portals, like I want to say like these like tunnels almost. And I saw it in the sense of like I saw it from their own people enslaved, and they just like they had like this haze over their eyes, and they were like mining away. And to me that was like symbolic of how a lot of things are going on in the world. If everybody has like this haze over their eyes, and they're really just focused on like money and surviving, and they're not looking up, and they're not really experiencing anything else because of the dark forces that have kept them enslaved. So we were walking through that, and they were just really just like telling me what was going on, because I was at a point where I was so confused, like COVID and everything. It felt fake to me, and obviously it was fake, but I was like, this just happened out of nowhere. Everyone's like scared, life is shifting, I don't understand. But yeah, so the Fae gave me some insight, and then we were walking, and just I don't know, it was just like the fourth dimension, which is just the in between from the 3D to the 5D. Fourth dimension doesn't really have much. It's not as big as like third dimension, fifth dimension. Fourth dimension is just like a transitionary dimension. But anyway, so all of a sudden we're going to this portal, and from my understanding now, this portal was a portal to a different timeline. So I was in between timelines. This past timeline that I was on was a completely different timeline than the one I'm existing on right now. And so they fly through the portal, and my body in the ICU was basically, it was like I was almost in a coma, but my eyes were open. So sorry. Anyway, so my body started climbing the wall as I'm starting to climb in this fourth dimension into the portal. And my body got pulled down in the ICU because I started climbing the wall. So I got strapped to the bed. And from the insights that I've gotten last night, as I was talking to the Fae in this recollection of this memory, they actually, so in the memory, they were talking to me in the present now, as I was meditating, and they knew that I would meditate and talk to them to recall the memory. Because for quite some time I didn't really want to go through the process of like the trigger and of remembering the experience because of just how dark that time was for me. But I'm in this really safe space now as I've like manifested my own place. And anyway, so I got pulled through this timeline as my body got pulled down in the ICU. So that was like the transition to this new timeline. And after that experience, my spirit got transported through space and to higher realms. I don't know what higher realms, but I was with these creator beings. That's what I called them. And they really just emitted the frequency of just pure bliss and pure peace and love and just safety. And as I was with them, they just were telling me that I have a mission on Earth and that they understand how like skewed things are, but that's what, where I come in. And that they just were giving me insight of what I wanted, which was my purpose. I didn't really have a clear direction of purpose other than knowing I didn't understand why I was here, because being such like a sensitive being, it can be really difficult living on Earth where the norm is to be disconnected and just like anger is so like just and division, especially if you come. Yes, Cosmic, I see your hand.
Oh, hey, well, I was just going to ask, did you have a sense of what the mission was?
Yeah, so the sense of the mission, as it's been unraveling over the past year, my whole life I had always had this like longing to be like I want to say like just like YouTube. I've always wanted to do YouTube when I was younger. And as I grown older, it was like, no, that's like narcissistic, everyone always chiming in their own perspective. But for me, it's really just my mission is to share this experience and to just tap into my abilities, because as I've crossed over into the other dimensions and other side of things, it's definitely opened up a medium psychic abilities. I've always been empathic and in tune with energy, and it's just heightened that further. So yeah, the mission just to heal and connect to people, because that's what I've always felt called to doing, was just be of service.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I do want to put in a tiny word there, because I think a lot of empaths like yourself, sometimes we're so wanting to make sure that we're not doing anything that's been done to us to others. Like if you have suffered through narcissistic abuse, like you have, like I have, I think sometimes our tendency is like, I want to make sure that I'm doing the total opposite of whatever that looks like. And so sometimes we might think, well, narcissists always make it about them. They're always taking, they want to take up the space in the room and like silence the others. So I'm not going to speak because, that would be the opposite of that. When in reality, it's like the thing we call narcissism is where the person does not have a sense of awareness, or a connection to the others in the room or in their life, where they don't care and they don't feel the sense of the damage or the harm they're doing in the way they're sharing. However, sharing, like you said, is a key part of the mission. We share, but not at the cost of others. So one thing that happens with narcissists is they'll share, but they'll use their share time to put others down, to lie, to manipulate, to gaslight, and then they want to say like, "Hold space for me. I'm sharing." And they'll word things in a way where it's where you might feel like you have to sit there and listen to that shit. um However, sharing your story for the sake of helping others and for the sake of healing yourself and healing others actually creates space for others to feel loved, to feel heard, because you're not putting anyone down. You're not elevating yourself in some way that's, unreachable or untrue. So I just want you to know that there's nothing about what you're doing or what some of us here are doing or what some people will say on YouTube are doing, because it's important for us to feel heard, and to be heard and to share our stories and to listen to others' stories. So really proud of you and thank you for sharing. And Chosen One, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, because you guys were speaking about fairies. You had basically triggered a memory. When I was 7, I had seen a fairy in my brother's room before, and I remember I couldn't get up or like say anything to wake my mom up. I was just like, "Whoa, that's really happening right now." That's all I wanted to share.
Thank you. I'm looking for Heart 5 is supposed to be on here to share. We'll keep looking. If anybody else wants to share, go ahead and request to speak. And Steph, yes, what did you want to say?
I just wanted to add what was being said about the like, oh, I don't want to share because then that's me being narcissistic. And I think when we were talking about myself and like the pendulum swinging the other way, I was just going to say that's extremely relatable. And that's why I think it's funny that I just made a video literally right when I closed it. This talk was starting. And yeah, just I don't know, just our stories are needed, and it helps with the connectivity because it's not like ego driven where it's like, I want people to think I'm some way. But yeah, I just felt such resonance with that. And I just wanted to let you all know you are not alone in that. And I think that's why when I say the ultimate now is with myself and that self love and letting me off the hook for any shame and letting myself shine. And then one more thing I was going to say on fairies, as me and my son totally saw fairies like probably like 6 months ago, and we both saw them like up on the wall, like floating through the room to the next room. And he will even now, he's only 5, but he'll be like, remember when we saw those fairies, Mom? He's like, I wonder where they went. And I'm like, I know, I don't know either. It was just funny because, yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I just wanted, like, I've been listening to everybody talk, and I'm kind of new on my spiritual journey. I want to say I started in 2021, but I feel like this year has been like a really, really like pivotal year for me. So I've always struggled with anxiety and depression my entire life. I've been into therapy and things like that. And, I remember one time just telling my therapist, like, I feel like I was born sad. And that's been something that I've really been like working through. And 2021, I had a friend who introduced me to crystals, but at the time I was just like, I don't really believe in that stuff. I didn't really know what I believed in because I had just kind of went through my whole life feeling like nothing really mattered. Like I was just kind of floating. And yeah, he tried to introduce me to crystals. I was just like, okay. And um, a few months later, I ended up getting into it. I was like, okay, like, let me buy one, let me get into this. And, I set my intentions for my spiritual journey. I was like, I really just want to find self love for myself. That was like the big thing for me, is just finding love for myself, because I never knew how to love myself. And, you know, I feel like something that people don't talk about is, we look at this spiritual thing and we're like, oh, it's just, and I'm sorry if like I'm getting emotional, because
No.
I wanted to talk about like a scary spiritual experience that I went through, but I just recently went through it like 6 months ago. So it's still kind of like fresh. But yeah, I feel like something that people don't really talk about is that this thing can like get really dark sometimes if you're not aware of like everything that's happening. So I was not aware of just how damaged I was, and I didn't realize that I, like, trying to find myself, I was pushing aside other people in my life who like genuinely cared about me. And um you know I started getting into like tarot videos, like watching them on YouTube and stuff, because I just felt like really lost. And I have nothing against tarot. Like, I feel like, people use it for their own reasons and stuff. But I was really lost. I didn't know myself, and I was just looking for someone to like give me answers. And I was just getting so obsessed with watching these videos. Like, oh my gosh, hours would pass by and I would just be like watching these videos. And I don't know, like, just, it was like something just switched one day. And it was just like I woke up one day and I was in like a whole nother reality. Like, I felt so discombobulated. It felt like I was like in a dream. And I just really didn't understand like what was going on, and I felt so scared. And I just remember like running out of the house, getting in my car, and just like trying to figure out where to go, what's happening, what's going on. And I did not know where to go. I had barely no gas in my car. And so I was just like, because like it felt like I was gonna die that day. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. And it's like when I try and describe it to other people, like my family, they don't really understand. They don't really understand like what I'm saying. And I come from a, African American family where we don't really talk about this type of stuff. We don't really talk about mental health and things like that. So, like, I woke up and I just, like, I don't even feel like I'm in the real world right now. Like, I feel like I'm in the in between. Like, did I already die? Like, I didn't really understand what was like going on. And I was like freaking out. I was filled with so much fear, but I just didn't know where to go. And, I have a 1 year old. She'll be 2 tomorrow, but I have a 1 year old. I have like responsibilities. So like I just knew I couldn't leave. Like, I just knew, like, somehow, some way, like, I have to get answers. Like, I don't know what's going on. So I remember just driving back home, going to my apartment and just dropping to my knees, because I just didn't know like what was happening. And I just kind of like sat there, just really paralyzed, didn't know who to call, didn't know who to, reach out to. And, I remember like I was falling asleep and it just felt like my legs caught on fire. Like it, it just it just felt like this really crazy thing happened. And I remember waking up the next day. I was in my room and it was just like I was back to regular life. Like I had to just carry on with life. I had to go to work. I had to pick my daughter up from the babysitter. Like I had to just carry on. And I didn't really like to this day, I still don't have like full answers of what I experienced, why I experienced that. And I come from a Christian background, and so that's been something that's been like weighing on me, because I'm like is this what I'm doing? Like, am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? Like, and it's like I see angel numbers everywhere. Like I want to tell myself that I'm in alignment, and I want to tell myself that I just have to keep uncovering like those shadow parts of myself, and like I will find my light one day. But it's just like really difficult because I'm still new to this. I don't really understand the terms. I don't really understand some things that people are talking about, but I just know that I went through a scary ass experience. And I just know that like I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. And, I look back and I realize like I wasn't always the best person. I acted out of hurt and trauma, and like I didn't love myself. So therefore, I didn't know how to love other people. So, I am working on being a better person, being more kind, being more sweet, and with the YouTube thing, I've definitely had this feeling like I should start YouTube. I mean, I've made full on YouTube videos, uploaded them, everything, and deleted all of them because I'm like, I feel like my voice doesn't really count. I feel like I don't really have anything to add to the collective. But it's like listening to all of you guys, y'all have no idea what this does for me, what this conversation does for me, because I don't really have anyone in like my real life that I can talk to. So I just want to thank y'all so much for this conversation. And I want y'all to know that I appreciate y'all so much. And thank y'all for just sharing y'all traumatic experiences. And you're not the only one, because I'm also going through it. And I love y'all so much.
Wow, girl, you got me crying.
No, for real.
First
I
of
just want
all,
to give you a hug.
I'm giving you a hug. First of all, I want to say I love you. I'm proud of you. You were born for this.
I appreciate
You
that
are
so much.
divinely, yep, you are divinely guided. You are not alone. You have been reborn. You are safe. You are loved.
Thank
You were
you so
divinely
much.
guided into this experience. Creator is always with you. Your child is a part of your mission. It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters who you are and who you are with Creator. You have found some of your people here. I am here for you. And I was also raised Christian, so I can help you talk through this. And we can even talk through it with Bible verses if that helps you feel more connected to the experiences you're having. But I just want you to know I am so proud of you for sharing. I'm so proud of you for being spirit led to come into this room today. And I'm also grateful because people need to see this level of courage and radical honesty that you have demonstrated. And there's nothing more powerful than demonstrating it in the moment. So what you have done today will create ripple effects. And the other thing is, I think it's really important that you brought up how scary and traumatic this can be, this type of a rebirth, a spiritual awakening, because it's like the phoenix path. It's like the resurrection. There's many stories throughout the world, throughout all cultures, throughout all religious texts of this experience you have described. And it is very spiritually transformative. It's like where the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and is like, what in the hell is happening? I'm no longer a caterpillar and I don't know what I am right now. I feel like I'm in a coffin or a tomb. And inside the chrysalis is where the metamorphosis takes place. And it can feel like death. And in some ways it is, because it's no longer going to be a caterpillar, but yet it's everything it ever was. And now it's going to be something it's never been before, which is a butterfly. It's never had wings before. It's only rolled in the grass and done caterpillar things. Now it's going to be flying and having a whole new perspective. It will feel like an completely new life, completely new experiences, but it's still the same creature. You are still you. You just have had this metamorphic experience. And I'm sorry that in your family, it wasn't feeling like a safe place to discuss spiritual, emotional, mental wellness. But that's why it's important to find spiritual family throughout the world, because the people we're born, the families we're born into are not necessarily our spiritual family. There's many mysterious reasons why we're born into families of origin, and oftentimes there will be, painful experiences there that'll be a part of our story. And the other thing that you brought up, which is important, is that not everybody's going to have a third dimensional near-death experience. um, some of us will have these phoenix experiences without dying or going to the intensive care unit, and it will feel like death. It will literally be as scary as walking to the door of death. And it will be as
Yes.
transformative as well. And it's very hard for others to relate to. And like you said, it's like your whole life stood still and didn't make sense all of a sudden. And yet you still have bills to pay and an alarm to set and a baby to pick up. And it's like life's carrying on, but your soul is standing still saying, what's
Yes.
happening?
And I literally have chills all over my body as you're explaining this. So I know it's resonating with my soul, because that's exactly how it was. It's like I woke up and I was just in a whole nother reality. It was like everything stood still. It was like it was only me. And I just had this feeling of like, I am going to die. Like this is it. And I was freaking out. I was so scared. And yes, like that night when I felt my legs catch on fire, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what is happening. I don't know what's going on. It was so scary, and it's like you try and talk to like family members and stuff, but they tell you like, oh, that's demonic, or oh, you're going to hell. And it's like, bro, that's not what I need to hear right now. I don't need to hear that I'm about to go to hell, like
Could that have been a Kundalini awakening?
I literally have no idea. Like I know before that day, I had been meditating, I had been lighting my chakra incense. So I have no idea, but like ever since I went through that experience, I've been kind of, and like I said, this happened like 6 months ago. So that's also something I've been beating myself up about, because ever since that experience, I've been scared to get back into like full on meditating. Like right now, what I'll do is I'll just kind of sit down and I will talk to the Most High, or like I'll just journal. And that's kind of like how I kind of get through it. But ever since then, I've been like absolutely terrified. I just recently went to a metaphysical shop to get some more crystals, and I charged them, but that's about it, because I've literally just been terrified. Like I just don't want that to
That's
happen
that's
again.
literally how my experience was too. I stopped meditating for a while because I was like, am I opening myself up to like entities? Like what's going on? So I completely
Yes, that's
understand.
exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very scary. I remember all of that. I really relate to.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and also, in the same way that there's boundaries in our physical and emotional selves, there's spiritual boundaries. So yes, there are other realms and beings and entities out there, so you can set your intention and you can say your prayer like, Creator, I ask that I only be connected to or able to hear messages that are pure and from Creator Source. I do not open myself to any spirits that are not of the highest good. I do not open myself to any spiritual experiences or demonic influences, and keep me safe while I'm seeking the highest good. And girl, I'm telling you, the thing that you went through is not demonic. It's a very spiritual transformative experience, and there's many Bible verses actually for it. It's just that people are kind of glossing through stuff as they read, and they're not focusing in on what's actually happening in some of those stories. It's like they're blinded to what's right in front of them. So um, please do not fear hell or anything like that. Creator has created all these things that you're exploring, the crystals. Your body is a crystalline vessel. All of these things are very sacred and the original spirituality that was created for you to experience. So please message me if you want to um, talk on the phone or talk again or message. I am here for you. You are not alone, and you will not be alone again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. That means literally like the world to me. And that's what I keep telling myself. I'm like under all of this programming, under all of these like negative things that have been fed to me, I know like I have to be on the right path. I see the synchronicities. I will literally like pray for answers, and like within the same day I will get those answers. Like I know I'm walking on the right path, and I feel like after going through that, the fact that I'm even still here trying to get back into it, trying to learn it again, just proves like I'm on the right path and I'm doing what needs to be done. I just have to get past that fear. But, I'm also sending myself compassion and love and grace because I did go through something traumatic. So, it's just kind of like I'm finding that balance, with myself. And I'm just very, very grateful to be in this community and to be in this conversation right now. You guys have no idea, like, no idea what this means to me. This is the first time in 6 months that I've been able to freely talk about this experience, and I don't feel judged. I don't feel weird. I feel like you guys understand, so thank you so much.
Thank you, and just see how you were divinely guided here. That's how your life is meant to be. It's
Yes.
beautiful and mystical and mysterious and wonderful. So I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I will give somebody else the mic. Thank you.
Yes, there's somebody I'm waiting for to come on the show, but I don't see her yet. Is there anybody else who wanted to share or ask questions?
Divine, did you finish off with your story? Was there anything else you wanted to say about your experience?
Sure. I had a couple. So I think I just left off with me being with the creators. And it was just really peaceful. And I just woke up and in this new like timeline, and it took me a bit to kind of get used to it because I just it was just like it shook me awake, and I wanted to tell Concrete that I'm so proud of you, and you're so brave and amazing for just like allowing yourself to be a part of this journey. And it can be really scary and it's unknown, and but just knowing that you're on the right path and the right journey, and that it's like your soul calling to you and wanting to be seen by you, and seeing how just like how all of us, how we're all just divine beings. um so yeah, that
Thank
was,
you. I appreciate that.
of course. But yeah, that just was pretty much my experience. And yeah, just I don't know. Sorry, I'm feeling a bit scattered. Yeah.
Does anybody want to get into the sense of the afterlife, or I don't know, maybe seeing angels? Has anybody had those experiences?
I've experienced seeing angels in trees.
Ooh, tell me about this, please.
So basically, this was after me and my child's father separated. I just felt like I needed to do a lot of shadow work, and I would go outside in my backyard and meditate. And I remember a song by Janae Aiko coming on. It was called Pretty Bird. And it's like she was like singing my whole life to me, I remember. And I just started crying. But it was like in that moment, I felt a release off my heart. And a hummingbird literally swiped in front of my face, like right when I felt that release. A hummingbird swiped in front of my face, and she was like, "Pretty bird, you're so pretty when you cry." And I was like, I started crying so hard. I was like, "What is going on?" And I looked in the trees, and it's like the trees were dancing with me. And I was like, "Are those spirits? Like, am I seeing spirits in the tree?" And I just remember just like keeping note of that and always remembering to always just like get under trees when I'm feeling stressed out, because I truly believe like there's spirits in the trees.
Oh, I absolutely believe all of creation is very spiritual, and I'm glad you brought that up because laying on the ground or standing on the ground barefoot, leaning up against trees, all of that is very healthy for our bodies, and it helps us process energies and release energies and integrate the dimensions, because these plants and the earth and the water and the wind and everything is way more spiritual than we're led to believe. So connecting there is one of the most sacred, free things that we can do. So I'm happy you brought that up. In fact, it's really good that you brought that up, because it's true that some people don't talk about the things that they feel after really profound or scary awakenings or near death experiences. They sometimes people are, like has been said, they don't know who to share this with, and they don't know who would relate or be able to really listen in a soul space for them, to express like the part of the journey that feels scary or upsetting, or like this unknown place. And in the unknown place, you can feel confusion and maybe fear or anger, and these emotions are not lower dimensional, lower density, or negative. Those emotions are teachers, and they're important for us to feel. It's not that you want to stay stuck in any one emotion necessarily, but let it flow, let it teach you something, and accept that it's a form of honesty to say this experience is a combination of, I'm having these emotions as a result of this experience. I feel afraid. Am I going to go to hell? What does this mean? Am I the only one going through this? Am I strange? Like, am I okay? And all these thoughts and feelings we have that might feel scary, um, let yourself feel that, because that's how you heal it. And that's also how you're divinely guided to places like this room. You divinely guided to the people and the experiences that are meant for you, because you're being honest and real and authentic. And that is high vibration.
Not to cut you off, but I had made a tweet yesterday, like right before seeing your space. What was the tweet? It basically said, hold on, let me find it really quick.
Yeah, you can share that in the space if you want.
Okay. Let me just look for it.
Goodness, I just flew right into my hand repeatedly. I just had to say that.
I had tweeted, oh, okay, I found it. I had tweeted, I fell in love with death at an early age once I realized the truth behind it. If that makes me psycho, so be it. So I tweeted this yesterday, and then this morning, like as soon as I woke up, your space, I don't know how, but it was a reminder that popped up on my phone, and I never set a reminder for this space. So I was like, oh my God. If this isn't a sign, then I don't know what is.
Wow. That's amazing. And also, sometimes, I've heard people, and I've felt this myself, where we're like, oh my God, is this psycho or whatever? These, these fears or judgments that we are worried other people might have of us. And like, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, these people who might be judging us, they probably have never experienced this shit. So, like, talk to me after you've had your experience. Bye, Felicia. Like, don't have time for this judgment. Like, make friends with the people who find your soul tribe. Like, tell your story, own it. However, I will make a point on this. Don't throw your pearls. And what I mean by that is, you don't go somewhere. Okay, let me reword this. If you know that you have some friends or family who have a general belief system, and you already kind of know like the way they might perceive your experience, don't necessarily I don't necessarily recommend going in there to share your experience, because that can be traumatic for you. That cannot be a safe space for you. And then you might feel like you have to defend it or explain it to these people. And then you have to deal with their fears and judgments and insecurities and perceptions and lack of awareness. Like, go where it's a safe place for you, and you will be intuitively guided to that. So I like to give this example. If you were going from the modern medicine field to natural medicine and you wanted to promote that, you wouldn't necessarily go into a doctor's office and be like, fuck this shit, you're poisoning everyone, I can't believe you're doing this. Here's some essential oils, have a nice day. Like, that's just not really going to be effective. You would want to try a different approach, and you would want to look for the people who are looking for you. So that's a piece of advice for sharing your story, is be intuitively guided to where is a good place for you to share.
I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly how my family is. Like, they don't want to hear any of it. And then like once they started to realize I had spiritual gifts, like they would try to like label them like autism, ADHD. Like, they were trying to make me feel bad. So I hear you.
That's really unfortunate. And in fact, those labels are a way for people to try to feel comfortable about a spiritual experience they don't want to explore. So, unfortunately, a lot of people over the centuries have been labeled or put in a nut house or whatever, because they're able to transcend the third dimension. And I personally believe those people are researched and experimented on in the guise that they're getting help, but they're actually like part of uh, some type of what's really going on here experiment. So yeah, definitely be careful too.
Yeah, they tried to give me medication in the hospital, and I was like, nah, not happening.
Well, I'm proud of you for staying sovereign there. Virgo, did you want to share?
Sorry, I do. I have a toddler, so just bear with me. 1 second.
Yeah.
So I more so wanted to just, listen in at first, but I wanted to share my own experience once I got what the energy of the room, was about. Um, but yeah, if you wanted to give a like a just like a refresher, room refresh, so I can chime in.
Oh, are you saying, like, do you want me to give you like a quick recap of what we've been talking about?
Please.
Okay, yeah. So several people have come forward and shared about near death experiences and what it was like before and after, how they felt changed, if their personality changed, or they've talked about if they felt like they were in the presence of creator or angels during that transition. The topic of walk-ins was brought up, which we didn't really define, but we kind of described how it feels. Basically, I'll try to figure out how to describe this. Basically, a walk-in experience is where the person, okay, so somebody gets in a car accident or something, they go unconscious or they're pronounced dead, and they go through the veil or they go into the great beyond, and they have a life review or they're given a chance to come back. So some people feel that they come back their authentic self, and like that whatever was weighing them down has been cleansed off, and they sort of have a divine reset, and they're able to kind of restart their life. And then some people feel that when they're in that mysterious beyond place, that either a future version of themselves, a parallel version of themselves, or the spirit of another person is allowed to take their body, their avatar, and come in. So it could be like an ancestor or another being, um, who wants to live in their body to carry out a mission, and then an agreement would be made in that heavenly mysterious realm where they make the agreement. Yes, you may live in my avatar next. I feel that I've completed my purpose. And then when the person comes back into their consciousness, if a spirit that wasn't originally their spirit is now inhabiting that body, oftentimes the person feels like they're not themselves anymore, or they don't feel quite as connected to the friends and family that the original spirit called family. And so that can create some post-traumatic or just a lot of integrations that they that they really have to process, that can be hard to process. But a lot of the people who have that experience, who then process it and do the shadow work there, and then they fully remember why they came into this avatar, they often have really profound messages to share with humanity that you can feel resonate like from somewhere else. And it's like a contract calling. So then some people were just discussing that they felt more connected to why they were born when they returned. And there's really also there was some sharing about how you don't necessarily have to have a near death experience to feel like you have a total spiritual rebirth, and that can feel just as traumatic or life changing. And so we're holding space for whoever wants to share. Does that help?
Definitely. That was like an overload of like beautiful information. I wish I could have, chimed in or sooner. I wanted to hear, more experiences, because I personally haven't had like I've had a near death experience, but never, where I tapped out, and, where like I've heard stories of people being able to like, communicate with guides and whatnot once they have a near death experience, and then come back and have the decision if they wanted to come back. I haven't had anything that extreme, but this past July I did get into a car accident, and my car flipped over. But so my father unexpectedly passed away in this past December, and he helped me a lot with my vehicle, and like he took care of like, I'm a grown woman, but he took care of like my insurance and everything for me. Like he set that up and everything. Like he would, yeah. So basically, when my car flipped over in July, up until then, I was saying that like, my father was my angel with me, like driving in the car, because like I was driving with with the expired insurance or lapse insurance and all that. So like I was saying that he was like my angel, like protecting me and everything. And then in July, when my car flipped over, I did feel like energetically, like I felt that that, I'm not saying that like he shifted or he like crossed over like at that moment, but I really just felt like his presence. Like, it's strange, I felt his presence like not there once the car accident happened, and ever since then it's just been a little weird. My relationship with like his spirit, like I still communicate with him, but I don't feel him with me anymore. So I don't know. That's strange. That's all I really have to add to that part of the conversation. But I do like, I think that like the dark, people call it like the dark night of the soul. Like when you go through something really deep, and like life changing, I feel like that can be like that's that you kind of hit on it when you were giving the recap of what you were talking about. But I call it the dark night of the soul. And I went through one recently, and well, 2016 is when I got kicked out of the Jehovah's Witness religion, right? And so up until then, like up until now, I've been, doing some real deep soul digging and searching and finding who I am, getting rid of like the indoctrination and whatnot from like religion. And that's been really exciting. And of course, like it's been dark, but I've been finding the light through that. So I'm gonna just mute my mic and just hear the other experiences. I think they might be more profound than mine. So thank you for letting me share.
You're welcome. And actually, everyone's experience is profound. So I'm grateful that you shared. And I am curious about your father that you mentioned. So has he already passed through the veil? Had he passed before that car story?
Right. So he passed in December unexpectedly, and my accident was in July.
Okay, and you felt a close connection to him prior, but then not as much after. Is that right?
Exactly, which is strange to me. Yeah, I felt that he was with me up until that car accident, and then when that car accident happened, like I haven't felt, him as close to me as before.
Okay, so two things. One, definitely the guardian angel thing you mentioned definitely resonates, that he wanted you to feel his presence near, and all the way up to him protecting you through the car wreck. And it's possible that he wanted you to feel like the absence so that the presence would feel even stronger. You also, on a second point, can ask him if you can let him know through your spirit that you would like to feel his closeness again, if it's in the highest good for you. So you can always request that from loved ones, because you are a spirit in a human body, so you can speak to the spirit realm.
And thank you for that reminder. I do, because if my car flipped over and I didn't leave, my son and I were in the car. We didn't have a scratch. Like a car could have, while I was flipped over, a car could have came and like smashed us, but like nothing happened. So I feel like even in the midst of the accident, like he was with us, and he still is. His spirit, of course, the energy never dies. But with that being said, I'm trying to understand this concept of. I know that we have the option to come back, right? And if I feel like I can't determine his afterlife and what he chose to do or his journey, but I do believe that the way he lived on this earth, like he would want to come back a second time, give it another shot around. So with that, how do we still connect to our loved ones, unknowing if how do we know if they decided to come back here by now? Because if I tap into his spirit or try to communicate with him, but he's already made the decision to come back in a different form, who would I be channeling or talking to? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I love the way you worded that. So it is possible that it felt like he kind of went away, so to speak, because he entered another incarnation. However, there's something about the spirit being multidimensional and like expansive through time and through incarnations. And what I mean by that is, I would think, I'm not trying to say this as a fact, but I would think that his oversoul, even if his spirit had manifested or connected into another body at this point, I do believe, and you could experiment with this, I believe his oversoul could always be connected to you, because I've met people who I very much resonate with as from another lifetime, and the person can, it's like you can have memories or feelings from the other lifetime and yet be fully integrated into this lifetime. And since we're talking about like his oversoul or his eternal spirit, I wouldn't think that that would have the same type of restrictions or limitations that we might think. So you could just experiment with it and see what happens there. You could also request that he appear to you with a type of a spirit animal that you would resonate with. So, that's something you could explore.
Definitely a cat. So thank you for saying that.
Well, is there anyone else that would like to share, or shall we wrap for the day? Citizen?
I mean, we can wrap soon. I'd be curious to hear people who had this experience, because we're only talking to you because you chose to come back. What is it like if you say, I'm done with Earth, I'm moving on? What is that actually like? I don't know personally, and I don't know if anyone really knows. I
Have
think
you
we all.
guys have you guys seen the movie Soul?
Yes, I love that movie.
That's what it reminds me of.
The Pixar movie?
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh yeah.
That is the third time this week I'm hearing about this movie. So that is definitely a synchronicity, and I will watch it today.
I was actually meditating about this in the bath a couple nights ago, and I was thinking about source and how we all come from it, right? But then we do, not saying that spirits are, okay, I believe that stars are souls, okay? And then like the breath of God, or the ruach is like how they say it in Hebrew, the spirit or breath, that brings forth, the life in the human vessel. But we come like, or celestial, like we come from source. And not saying that like stars or like spirits, they get bored, so they want to come into like the human form and come down here having a human experience. But I was thinking about how there's different. I wish this conversation was, because I could speak more eloquently when it was like fresh in the brain. But basically, I know you're gonna want to wrap the room as well, so I'm gonna be quick. I was thinking about how like we have, when we do transition, like we like this human experience is like so yummy. So of course we want to come back down here. We want to love, and especially if you have children, some say that that's like your contract, your definite contract to come back here, because you're going to want to watch after those, children in your family and generations going forward. But like, I was thinking about how like going back to source and not making the decision to come back down here, and what that would do. I mean, I think we're attached to. It's about attachment, and I'm all over the place. Sorry, because this is like a really passionate topic for me. But
No, you're good. Just relax. It's okay. No rush.
thank you. Okay, so like the attachment is what I think humans, why we keep coming back here, and with this, with humanity and seeing not the, I don't want to see the decline of humanity, but seeing the moral decline. Like I feel like we, as our spirit, we want to heal the planet, and we want to keep coming back here so we can contribute to that. However, I do think that I could only speak for myself. I want to, when I transition, whenever that time and whenever that contract is, has ended in this realm, in this journey, what I would believe is that I want to stay with source, and I want to stay, up I want to stay with source this time and monitor from a different realm, and still just like love from afar, me personally. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way, because of course I still want to be on the planet and heal it and protect it and guard it. But I think that I belong with my soul tribe, and that to me looks like being around people who love. Because lately I've been feeling almost embarrassed, or like I don't belong because of like my loving capacity. Like I've been feeling stupid for loving the way that I do. And I hate that humans have a lot, and I don't want to. It's me that has feels this way, but I hate that I've allowed humans to make me feel like guilty for having a big heart. So I want to go back to where the rest of those people are. I'm getting emotional, but I'm not gonna go there. I want to go back to where those loving hearts are, where they reside. I want to be with my family. That doesn't make me feel weird for loving the way that I do. Thank you.
First off, thank you for sharing. That takes courage and self-awareness. Secondly, I don't know if you've studied the topic of empaths, but it sounds like you're an empath. And empaths feel a lot of love, and they just feel a lot of emotions, and they're able to perceive the emotions and feelings of others. There's different types of empaths, you can be all of the types as well, but there's animal empaths, there's like plant, tree, like nature empaths, people empaths. And so when you're an empath and you're just feeling so much, and you're feeling so much love for others, and you're feeling what they're feeling and all this, that's quite a journey of learning how to filter and process all of that energy. And let me say it this way, sometimes empaths can draw in or attract others who don't have as much empathy and who definitely are not an empath. Empathy is a spectrum, but people who are quote empaths, it's like who they are pretty much all the time, whereas anyone can have different levels of empathy and you can feel it. It seems that what you're describing is you're not feeling, it's like you're not feeling like you're from here, and you might not be from here. For one, a lot of empaths would tell you that they feel the same way, and it can feel lonely, and it can feel like you don't belong here, you don't relate, it feels weird, it feels foreign, it doesn't feel like you're home. it it's it's like you're some whole other creature, I don't know, than the rest of the people around you, is the feeling that it can be, especially at first. And then once you start to discover like all the nuances of being an empath and of the spectrum of, the other people out there, perhaps you will shift up some of the people in your social circle, let's say, and that you won't allow just anyone to be in your presence, and that you will start to draw in other people who are more similar and more compatible to yourself, like the people in this room, perhaps. And then you won't feel so alone or so strange, and you will feel like you're part of the collective and part of a big family, and you will sense a feeling of belonging. And when I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking of a journey that I've been on myself. And I've once felt exactly the way you feel, and just realize that part of that feeling can happen when you allow too many people who don't have much empathy into your circle. So just kind of meditate and pray on that and see what happens there. Thank you for sharing. And there was another person. Well, I see Concrete Rose. I don't know where the other person went. Okay. Well, Concrete Rose, did you want to say something?
Yes, I definitely wanted to just let Virgo know that I completely like resonate with what you say. Like my entire life, I just really struggled with feeling weird. Like that's the best way I can describe it. Like it's like I have family and I realize that this is my blood, but it's like it just feels like I don't, like I'm not from here. Like, yeah, like that's the best way to describe it. It just feels like I'm with these people. I should be serving out some type of mission here. I should be doing something here. But I don't really feel connected to these people. I feel more so like I'm supposed to be doing something for them or like for the world or something versus me just feeling connected to these people. Like, I don't know if I sound weird or not.
No, that's not weird. Thank you for
Not at
sharing.
all.
Steph?
I honestly just wanted to thank everybody. I felt every single person that spoke. I resonated very deeply. And I just wanted to thank you. It felt like a really lovely soul check-in and right on time and right aligned. And yeah, just all my love to all of you.
Yes, thank you for sharing today. Thank you for everybody who shared. I love you all. I'm proud of you all. We're doing what we came here for. Keep being yourself. And we host the Soul Spaces every Thursday, 11:11 Central Standard Time. And I try to cover topics that I feel need to have a safe space. I try to cover things that might seem taboo or judged, especially in maybe some religious circles. I've been in multiple religions, multiple cults. Um, I've been down some really interesting trails in life. And so I have a ton of compassion and empathy and understanding and understanding for a lot of paths and walks of life. And I think it's beautiful for us to see how we're all connected instead of how we're all different, and to hold space for one another. So with that, I suppose we'll wrap the room. Sending much love to everyone.